I was 9 years old the first time I shingled a roof. Most kids were playing tag. I was standing on top of a garage with a hammer in my hand. My dad just said, "Let's build it." No safety gear, no hesitation. Just a Saturday project that accidentally changed my life. And no, this wasn't just a one-time thing. This was my actual childhood. While other kids were learning to pitch in Little League, I was learning to pitch shingles. Technically, architectural asphalt. 3-tab, 25-year warranty. The kind of thing adults argue about at the store like it's life or death. To me, they felt like grown-up Lego bricks, stacked with purpose. And the guy that put that hammer in my hand, my dad. He was a full-time contractor back then. Could fix anything. He was one of those people that looked at a broken fence or a jammed window or a drawer that won't shut and say, "Well, it can't stay like that." Then fix it. And half the time, I'd get roped in. Usually without warning. Some kids got dropped off at soccer practice. I got handed a shovel and a head nod. I didn't realize it at the time, but one of those ride-along days would change everything. I was 9 when he said, "We're gonna build a garage. Not buy one, not call a guy, not assemble something from a kit with labeled screws and polite instructions. Just, we're gonna build this from scratch." I remember standing in the yard, staring at this pile of lumber, thinking, that's not a garage. That's a pile of regret waiting to happen. But my dad saw something else. He saw what it could be. Then handed me a hammer like it was the most normal thing in the world. No speech, no "you got this, son." Just, "Here's how you hold it, now swing." That first swing turned into a rhythm. Before I knew it, we were side by side, laying shingles on one half of the garage roof. He showed me how to line them up, how to drive the nails without tearing through, how to snap a chalk line straight across. Still don't know where those chalk lines disappear to. Probably the same place socks go. By the end of the day, I was sunburned, sore, and completely hooked. But we didn't finish. And the next day, this part is burned into my brain. I came home from school, didn't say a word, and climbed back up there by myself. No permission, no plan, just me and my tiny hammer and a roof that needed finishing. Because apparently, my after-school activity was roofing now. My mom thought I was in the basement watching cartoons. Nope. I was 9 feet in the air, laying shingles with the confidence of a retired contractor and the risk awareness of someone who's seen a cartoon character fall off a roof and knew it didn't end well. When my dad got home, he panicked, which, to be fair, is the correct response when your child is roofing unsupervised. But then he looked closer and said, "That's actually really good." That sentence flipped the switch because for the first time, I didn't just help with something. I did something and it worked. That wasn't just a roof. That was a moment. One of those quiet, invisible lines that gets drawn between a kid and their dad, where trust shows up, not in words, but in handing over the hammer and stepping back. He never babied me, never made me feel like I was just a kid. If anything, he expected me to figure it out. I'd come home from school and find him halfway through something, fixing the lawnmower, replacing siding, or knee-deep into something that looked suspiciously like a weekend job that somehow became a full renovation, and somewhere along the way, it shifted. I wasn't just handing him tools anymore. I was cutting the wood, leveling the posts, pre-drilling the holes, Basically, doing the work of a severely underpaid apprentice. Eventually, he'd come home and say, "Oh, I was gonna fix that door hinge today." And I'd say, "Already did." And by the time I was a teenager, the roles had started to flip. I was the one saying, "Hey, that layout's off. You're not measuring from the same point." Or, "We should use a bracket there, not just toenails." Which, in retrospect, is a weird sentence. I remember one time explaining how I laid something out. He just squinted at it, then at me and said, "You sure that's gonna work?" That was his version of, "I see what you're doing, but I'm watching." And I was proud of that. We'd become a team, one that learned by doing. No manuals, no lectures, just problem solving and a whole lot of sweat, and possibly one sprained wrist. But let's not talk about that. That early experience, it changed everything. Years later, when I bought my first house, I didn't hesitate, didn't call a plumber, didn't call a contractor, just looked around and thought, yeah, I could definitely make this worse before I make it better. I ripped out the flooring, rewired all the switches, re-roofed the shed, then just kept going. Because that 9-year-old version of me had already learned, if you're willing to try, you could probably figure it out. That's what got me into flipping. That's what made me believe I can build an entire house from scratch with just me, my partner, and a deeply concerning number of YouTube videos. Like enough to crash the algorithm. I've learned how to excavate, frame roofs, pour countertops, and stage homes like they're about to be photographed for a fake magazine we made up. All because of that one moment on the garage roof with my dad. And now I'm the one teaching. I've taught friends how to tile, showed my partner how to wire a 3-way switch, walked a cousin through patching drywall without making it worse, which, let's be honest, is a real skill. Drywall mud is basically anxiety in paste form. I'm making these videos because that kid didn't wait for someone to tell him he was ready. He just climbed the ladder. And that roof, it didn't just teach me how to shingle. It taught me how to trust myself, how to stay curious, how to stay calm when things go sideways, and how to learn fast when they really go sideways. Because they will. Your line will go crooked. Your blade will bind. Your drill will die at the worst moment. But if you built that confidence early, you don't panic, you pivot. And if you're watching this thinking, I wish I'd grown up like that, you don't have to. You could start now. Because learning to build isn't about having a hammer in your hand when you're 9. It's about being willing to screw it up a few times and still come back and figure it out. So that is what this channel is about. If you're someone who's curious, willing to learn, willing to try even when you don't feel ready, you're in the right place. And no, I won't make you get on a roof unless you really want to. But if you do, I'll show you how to keep your shingles straight because I've been doing this since I was 9. And now it's your turn. So if you're here and you're still watching, thank you. I hope this makes you feel a little more ready to try. Or maybe just a little more connected to the kind of stories that got you started. Next time, I'll show you exactly what happened when I bought the cheapest house I can find and decided to gut it on purpose. No plan B, just tools, instincts, and some very strong flooring glue. It wasn't fancy. It wasn't even fully functional. But it taught me more than I could have imagined. Not flipped, just tried to live in. It was a whole different kind of education. Running water, working lights, doors that shut properly. Let's just say I had no idea what I was getting into, but I wasn't afraid to try. And that's what made all the difference. See you there.